morning and welcome to the Mount Gilead Daily Devotion. It's April 16th, 2021, and my name is Mike Bridgewater, and I'm the Operations Director here at the church building. Last week we finished chapter 11 of Hebrews and learned about the importance of having faith all the time, during the good times and during the bad times. It's easy to say, but not so easy to do. The writer knows this and continues encouraging the readers in chapter 12. In fact, chapter 12, like all the chapters in Hebrews, is just a masterful piece of writing. Today we're going to look at verses 1 through 4. Let's read them and then pick out a few nuggets to look at closer. It says, "Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us also lay aside every weight and sin which clings so closely, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us. Look into Jesus, the founder and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is seated at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured from sinners such hostility against himself, so that you may not grow weary or faint-hearted. In your struggle against sin, you have not yet resisted to the point of shedding blood." The writer starts his conclusion here in chapter 12 with the familiar word therefore. And we all know that when we see the word therefore, we need to know what the therefore is there for. In this case, the therefore is referring to all the souls listed in chapter 11 as examples of faith. He is saying to these Hebrews, he says, look at all these faithful people who've already run this race of faith. These are examples for you. Then the writer gives us another example. This time, it's how to offer an invitation without it sounding like an invitation. This one is so subtle that I probably read this verse 30 times this week and didn't even recognize it as an invitation. In the second part of verse 1, the writer uses a sports metaphor. First, he tells them to lay aside every weight and sin which clings so closely. He's saying to them, hey, warm-up time's over. It's time to get out of your sweatpants, lace up your shoes, and get ready. The meaning of the weight to these first century Hebrews was the crushing weight of the Levitical system, and the sin referred to was their unbelief in Jesus. Then he makes his invitation and says, and let us run the race with endurance, the race that is set before us, looking to Jesus. The writer then makes another list for us. The purpose of this list being why we should draw strength and courage, not growing weary or faint-hearted, from the example Jesus provided. It says, 1, Jesus is the founder and perfecter of our faith. Remember that he's the pioneer. He's blazing the trail for the followers to follow. 2, Jesus endured the cross. 3, Jesus despised the shame. 4, he is seated at the right hand of the throne of God. And lastly, Jesus endured mocking from sinners. Then the writer kind of pokes him in the eye and points out in verse 4 that although you have struggled, faced persecution, that it hasn't escalated to the point of the shedding of your own blood. For me, these 4 verses really encouraged me. First, this year I've been listening through the Bible in chronological order on the Bible app Dwell. And although at the beginning I thought it was kind of strange, but now I've settled into a habit of starting my day with a cup of coffee and a 10 to 20 minute listen. And there's just something about being read to that just brings the pages to life. Second, there are so many different ways to invite people. Here in Hebrews, it's a sports metaphor. In Acts chapter 17, Paul uses what was available and spoke about the unknown God. Here I am every Friday morning inviting people to church. Who would have thought that? Third, these verses make it clear that this life on earth will be a struggle. I'm no fan of running. It's exhausting. It also has a way of highlighting your body's weak points. But it does require training. But one thing I know that when I go running is that when I can see the end, I know I'm going to finish. And we can see the finish line. Look to Jesus. I hope you were able to hear last week's message from Justin about the golden calf from Exodus 32. What a powerful message that was. If you missed it, you can find a link to it on our webpage or church app. Jeff will be back behind the pulpit this Sunday, leading us through Exodus chapter 33. God gives Israel their marching orders, and it's time to pack up and leave Mount Sinai. Join us at either 9 o'clock or 10:30. Have a great Friday, and I look forward to seeing you here Sunday morning. Bye-bye.